It has been a very, very, very long time since I've done a Black Karen video. It's probably been a couple of months since I did my last one. And I actually reached out to Rob to talk about this individual, but he said that we probably should just leave it alone. And I was like, okay, I agree with you. We'll just leave it alone. But then I came across this post that she made up on X, formerly known as Twitter, about this woman called Sharika Soal. Now, I didn't even know who this woman was until maybe about last week, or maybe a week and a half ago, when one of my subscribers had told me about her in a post that she had made, and that was initially going to be the post that me and Rob were going to collab on until we decided otherwise. So then I kind of left it alone and what it is, and to be honest, I had started to forget about her until I came across this post that someone had retweeted onto my timeline. And let me tell you something about this chick. This chick, if you've never heard of her before, she is a divester's wet dream. And I mean that in every fiber of my being, because we're going to go over a couple of things more even beyond this tweet and show you something else that I came across involving her. So her name again is Sharika Soal, but I don't even think that's her real name. Honestly, I don't even think that's her real name. I think that's a moniker that she came up with. But she made this post up on her X account, formerly known as Twitter, where she said, "White people died freeing the slaves. You sound stupid bringing up slavery in 2023. It's funny that she's saying all of it. Like, this woman literally goes out of her way to toe the line or carry the water for PC individuals, and they just eat it up. And we're going to go through them comments too, the quoted ones and the ones that they left underneath her post, because it's not that many from what I've seen. And I'm catching it now while it's still relatively early. And even though she posted it yesterday, and I'm recording this on August 23rd. Because she's using their talking points, because those are the same talking points they love to use of, oh, how much they helped us and how much, it's the white savior thing, because they always got to be the hero in saving us, and we should be a little bit more grateful for what they do for us and yada, 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 and all that other bullshit. Then she goes on to say, if something that happened in 1860 makes you a broke, non-achieving loser today, then you are a loser. She noticed she only went back to 1860 when slavery was predates well beyond that. She's a few hundred years out, to be quite honest. But she went back to 1860 when there was, at that time, only 5 years left of chattel slavery. Then she says, you're not a victim of slavery. Now, she sent that out there like the token negress that she is, and she's proud of it too. Let me just add that in. She is proud of her bug dancing. That woman has she has Christian Louboutin tap shoes on, tap heels, whatever you want to call it. But I'm gonna go through some of these comments, and I want y'all to look at the responses from this, and we're gonna start with this one. This one is from a person named Vanessa. She said, bam, I'm not even white, but I like to second the motion. She says she's not even white, but she'd like to second the motion. Okay. And shout out to the Visionary 83. He said, coon alert, look at the coons. And shout out to him because we follow each other on here. This one says, calling someone white privilege because they are white is judging someone by the color of their skin. This one says, bravo. That needs to be heard by more people. If you agree, retweet. This one is actually repost now because it's not called Twitter anymore, but okay. This one put the explosion emoji, meaning they agree with them. Mind you, like I said, the most people that's agreeing with her are PC, except for that first person up there that said that they aren't white, but they agree. This one says, isn't it interesting that so many ignore the modern day slavery occurring in plain sight every day, especially at our border? What about the rampant drug addiction? Talk about being enslaved. This one says, spot on. This one says, there is no anti-black racist comment that can survive intellectual scrutiny using facts. None. Pay attention to the logic and deduction. A very simple question is this. If enslaving, then neo-enslavement, colonizing, then neo-colonizing are not wealth building. I started to read the rest of it, but I'm not going to read it because they wrote this whole diatribe and I'm not going through all of that. They says many people with this argument don't understand that ancestors of other races faced extreme hardship. Can we say Hiroshima? But current generations prosper and only blame themselves if they fail. This one says there were hundreds of thousands of Scots sold into slavery during colonial America. White slavery to the American colonies occurred as early as 1630 Scotland, and this one says you're awesome, so forth and so on. So you pretty much get the idea of what they're saying. But those were the comments that people left under there. Let's see what people posted. Shout out to GBS, Great Black Shark. He hopped in on it. He said, you sound stupid if you think 400 years of chattel slavery didn't have an impact on generations of FBA freedmen families up to present day. You wouldn't dare tell a Jewish person about the Holocaust. You still haven't learned about your caping for white folks. Hashtag goofy witchcraft. Someone else says false, but you're searching for engagement and your statement is still false. And that's what she's really doing. She's searching for engagement. She didn't really get that much engagement. But she does get engagement when she posts certain things. Shout out to LB. He said, need them biscuits to sop up that white sausage gravy, don't you? Hashtag biscuit love. And this person just posted up a little clip from Tariq. This one says, straight up raccoon. Shout out to the Visionary 83. And here's what I said. This is from me. As a funny, she mentions this yet can name not one of them who did. And I'm talking about when she's talking about white people freeing the slaves. She says, nor can any of the PC individuals co-signing her. One of the obvious ones they can name, they would deem him a traitor in N-word level. And for those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to John Brown. This person said, oh, so this is what survivors of ghetto gaggers turned into, pandering for white likes and pats on the head. Interesting. This one says, now here's where they start to praise her, quote unquote. Amen Shakira. They said Shakira, and her username is Sharika. They says Democrats and their Republican allies do not want people to know our actual history. If they did, all blacks would tell them to shove their party in divisive plantation propaganda. Americans says they fear the day we unite against them instead of against each other. It goes on to say, it's too sensible for the woke orati. This one says, that's right, capital L, loser, not a victim, a loser. This one says, preach it, Sharika. Maybe a bit louder for the people in the back. It says, tell me when it starts to sting a little. This one says, mic drop of the day. This is what common sense sounds like. Well stated, young woman. They think that her putting this up is a form of common sense. Like I said, they're the only ones that will fall for. They're not, to be honest, I don't even think they're falling for it. They're just doing it because they just need a black person in their corner to amen and co-sign their effery when they can't say it because they're afraid that people are going to call them out on what they are. But the fact that you co-sign this crap, even though it didn't come from another white person, it doesn't change how we see you. This person said amen. This one says true. This one says, well said, Sharika, very well said indeed. This one gave the 100 emoji. This one says preach. This one, they basically agreed. This one says amen. This one says truth. And this one says yep. They really think that this woman actually said something very profound when she really wasn't saying anything at all. Now, I wanted to show y'all something else involving her. So as you can see right here, this is her website. The name of her website is called divesteddiary.com. I already knew what I was getting ready to head into the minute that I clicked on the link because it says Divested Diary. And by the way, I'm going to leave a link to this 35-minute breakdown video that someone did on her a while ago, so you can get an understanding of where this woman came from, why she's doing what she's doing, or why she claims she's doing what she's doing, and what she feels like she's getting a benefit out of it, and everything in between. It was actually going to be the video that me and Rob were going to break down, but I want y'all to go ahead and check it out. I understand if you can't get through it, but I need you to understand who this person is, because many of you don't know who she is. But we're going to put her on the Summer Jam screen today so y'all can understand who this chick is. But this is her website, Sharika Soal, a diary of divested thoughts. P.S. When I was adopted by a white woman, I become her child, not the black communities. Culture does not exist where it is not taught. I had to interject this part into here in the midst of the recording and show y'all that this woman who goes around praising PC individuals and talks about how she was adopted by a white woman into a white family, and basically she has completely divested herself from the black community, had a whole GoFundMe that she set up back in 2021 titled "Help Me Sue My Adopted Parents." and she raised $1,605 of a $10,000 goal and only had 56 donations. We're going to read this more into it to see what she's talking about. And by the way, Sharika Sawyer, that is her actual last name. The Soal, I don't know where the Soal came from, but Sharika Sawyer is her last name. She says, "Hi, my name is Sharika Sawyer. My child and I are the victims of SA and abuse at the hands of my adopted parents, Linda and Peter Sawyer. I started this GoFundMe so that I may be able to get a lawyer for my son's case, which has been stuck at a founded CPS report since 2014 and 2015, when my adopted parents lost their appeal to have the report unfounded. On July 7, 2014, I was made aware by Story County DHS that my child was assaulted by my adopted father and that my adopted mother tried to cover it up. The court process lasted 7 months. My adopted mom tried to file for guardianship to hide what my adopted dad had done while I was on tour with my band Lady Soul in 2014. And that right there confirmed that this is indeed her, because when I was doing some additional research about that Lady Soul, it led me to a YouTube page under her, I guess an old YouTube page that she doesn't use anymore, called Sharika Soul, because I think she has another YouTube channel as well. And when it got there, it has a video up there of her performing with her band, and I think the video was posted like back in 2011. At this time, and then the Story County IA attorney has declined to press charges, stating my child was and is too young to withstand a 3-day trial. We have done all that we can and still no justice. Now that my son is 12, I would like to pursue making them pay for adopting me and hurting my child and causing years of trauma and suffering in my life and my child's. I need to pay for therapy and for my son, and I have not been able to find adequate counseling with government medical coverage, stating my son is too young and needs a play therapist for his specific issues. I need a lawyer to help me on this case so that myself and my child may get the justice that we deserve. Please share, and anything would help. So then she posted an update in August 22nd, 2021. She says, "Hey guys, thank you so much for all of your shares and donations. I'm still quite a bit away from being able to retain a lawyer in Iowa for Jacob's case. Please continue to pray for our family and spread the word. My adopted father being allowed to go over 20 years with nothing but a slap on the wrist from CPS is upsetting, and any help getting to my goal would be so appreciated by both my son and I. Thank you so much for giving us justice. Hope for justice." Keep in mind, again, this is the same woman that has nothing but contempt for black people, but she cozies up to PC individuals, the same ones that allegedly did this to her and her son. Make that make sense. But it doesn't stop there. So I wanted to start recent and then work my way back. Apparently this woman loves to use GoFundMe, because this is another GoFundMe that she used back in 2018, I believe. And it says help start Jacob's house. And for those of y'all, and I should have aligned that out in the previous part, Jacob is the name of her son. If y'all watch that video, that 35-minute video, it goes into all of that details. Like, she literally spills a lot of her own personal information, and it's quite a bit. Trust me on that. But she created another GoFundMe a couple years prior to the one I just talked to you about, which it says help start Jacob house. Again, another goal for $10,000. It raised $5,500, so a little over half, and it was 126 donations. So let's see what this one's talking about. Jacob's House, a child safety app. Hello, my name is Sharika Soal, and I'm in the process of creating an app that is designed to dial 911 with a pre-recorded message for individuals who are in situations where talking to a dispatcher is not safe or possible. The app is called Jacob's House and is dedicated to my son, who was in a situation where the adults around him illegally kept him from being able to report that he had been assaulted. So I'm assuming she's talking about her adopted parents, or at least the dad. When my child told me this, it stuck with me, and so I want to give back what I could not provide, and will always regret that, and that is a lifeline and a voice. The app will be designed as a normal social media app, and the demographic is for teens and poor communities. It will work with Wi-Fi, so no phone service is necessary. The purpose and main function of the app is upon registering with the app, the human makes a pre-recorded message that is stored on a server. The human will state their name and address in school, and that they are not safe and need to be checked on. The technology will greatly reduce teens being trafficked without a trace, as the app will work with geotagging and record location. of the owner, even after being thrown away, and the recorded message will always be the first point of evidence. 911 is alerted and hears the recorded message on a loop so that it will cut down on hours of not realizing the child or human was in danger. Any donation would be greatly appreciated, as I have secured an able and highly skilled web designer. And this is the update that she gave on December 20th, 2018. She says, "We did it, guys. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you. We raised enough to get the app on the store, the $5,000. The developer says the ETA will be the first week of January. The support is overwhelming, and Jacob's House app will always be free to download on the Google Play Store once the app is launched. Please continue to share the GoFundMe and the news about the app. The app will need regular testing once on the store to make sure reports of bugs or glitches are resolved as quickly as possible. Thank you all so much." Well, I decided to go to Google Play and see if that Jacob's House app was there, and I'm scrolling down, and mind you, as you can see right there at the top as I'm scrolling, it says Jacob's House. I make sure I didn't type it in incorrectly, and sure enough, it's a bunch of different apps that has absolutely nothing with whatever Sharika Soal was trying to sell people. And I should have known something also was up, because the GoFundMe is technically still open, because if it was closed, then this meter would not be here, and it would just had a number there. It's pretty much done. They got everything that they needed, but it's still very much open. But I don't see an app there. Now, I don't know if the app once existed, but it's not there anymore. But you would think an app, based on how she's describing this, would be something that could stay around for as long as possible. This just sounds to me like one of those get the money and run type of missions. And last but not least, we have this particular GoFundMe. Now, this one looks a little bit different than the ones I talked about before, because you don't see Sharika Soal's name somewhere in the midst right here. You don't see Sharika Sawyer. You don't see Sharika Soal. But trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. So this GoFundMe was started, I think, back in 2016, and it says Impeach Persky Protest Funds. If y'all don't know who they're talking about Judge Aaron Persky. You know, the one that let that PC individual off after he violated that woman behind the trash can. The one whose father says that he shouldn't have to lose X amount of years of his life for X amount of minutes of pleasure. I still can't get that phrasing out of my head, but that's who they're talking about. Now, like I said, you don't see Sharika's name on here, but in all actuality, if you dig a little bit deeper, you see it right here where my cursor is at. It says, "Hello, friends and supporters. In light of recent events, I have been asked by GoFundMe to clarify recent events to my donors. I am no longer working with Miss Sharika Soal after several fights regarding campaign funds and her need to use them for quote-unquote financial stability. Over the course of this campaign, I have paid over $700 in my own funds after she claimed she would do her PR work for free. I paid Sharika $200 in campaign funds to go to a networking party thrown by the Arquettes. She was unable to go and refused to return your donations. I promptly filed a claim through PayPal, and the fallout has been telling. From blogs and use of her Huffington Post platform to slander me, to countless messages left on the petition. She even went so far as to report this GoFundMe because even though she has not attended a single protest, she feels entitled to your money. In my opinion, that is not how this works. The funds donated here are for expenses related protests and starting a nonprofit. I refuse to have a partner so caught up in attempting to use donations for personal profit that she is willing to sabotage all the hard work this platform has done for survivors. I will happily provide the evidence in my possession related to these conversations via email to anyone who would like to see them for themselves. If you require this evidence, please feel free to email me at," and they put email redacted. So the email was probably there, but they probably took it off. "I have canceled the trip for the week of October 3rd through the 7th. It makes no sense to fly into LAX if I will not be picking Sharika up and driving to Sacramento. I have been informed by Christina Garcia's office that she will not be in her district that week. I am waiting for word from her office to rebook the trip at a time when she can actually be there. Thank you all for understanding, and please feel free to email me with any questions you should have. I am an open book." And this was actually given by a woman by the name of Maria Ruiz. And in case you want to know what it was really all about, it says this was about protests that was supposed to be occurring, or basically about what happened with Judge Persky. And that sounds around the time when all of this did occur. And this is showing all the expenses that it was supposed to cover. But apparently Sharika had other alternatives, like other motives. Now, like I said, I just simply typed her name into Google and put GoFundMe behind it. And all three of these GoFundMes that I just went through all had her attached to it in some capacity. I'm telling you, this woman is not only anti-black, but apparently she's also very shady. Now let's go ahead and get back into the video. So she's basically telling black people, F y'all. But she's going to sit up there and talk about us every chance she gets. And literally, don't think that, let me just say this. The name of her website is called Divested Diary, but when it's steeped in anti-blackness. Because we're going to go through it and you can see this is her kickoff. This is her introduction to her page, her website. This what she says right here. Recent post. Listen, look at this. The Feds are definitely watching the Black Male podcast online. And this is it doesn't look like she has updated it in a while, because the last post she made was on June 18th. Then she says, if you're a black man mad at divestors, change how you act. This one says, black men aren't oppressed. They're lazy and effeminate. And by the way, I want y'all to pay attention to this right here. Because this woman actually has created a whole thread on her X page dedicated to pointing out black men who have committed acts of violation. Now, granted, I can't even knock with what she's doing as far as acknowledging people who have committed that act of violation, because that's one of the worst acts that you can commit. However, when you think about who she is and what she's all about, she's doing this for a reason. She's completely overlooking other groups of men, particularly PC men, and only focusing on the black one. And that could be pushing propaganda too, saying, oh, black men are some of the highest rated people who commit these type of acts. If you go to her page, if you choose to do so, you will see that she created an entire thread that she started at the beginning of this year. And anytime she comes across a story about that, she attaches it to that thread. And I think I saw it maybe about a week and a half ago. I think the most recent one that she made was probably sometime this month in August. So she says, I'm not here to save them. I want them to get the death penalty. This one says, understanding divestors and why it is quote unquote a self-based movement. Then this one says, would you cuddle with this? Now I want y'all to pay attention. Everything that she posts on her page about black women is about her divesting and leaving black men. When she posts something on her page about black men, it's showing the bad, degenerate side of black men. So we have this one right here where it says, a man accused of violating a woman as she fed a baby in Nashville Park. And in this one, it says, would you cuddle with this? And it has a picture of a black man looking like he's about to rob a store. But when she has a black woman up there, she's running around in the field with, I'm guessing that's a shawl, talking about how divestors is a self-based movement. So I just want y'all to understand what angle she's going with. And as you begin to scroll down a little bit more, now she has pictures of black women. They look like black women out of Africa. But if you look right here, the only time she shows black women that looks like they're in a loving position or in a loving relationship is when they're laid up with a PC man. And it looks like she has a picture of a woman right here who looks like she could be mixed herself with her daughter, who could be also mixed. I just want y'all to understand what kind of operation this Sharika Soal got going on here. And like I said, this is only a taste of a preview, if you will, of what this woman has going on via her page. We talk about the enemies from within. This woman, Sharika Soal, or whatever the hell her real name is a prime example of that. And like I said, she has no shame in what she puts out there. She has like 140 something thousand followers on X, formerly known as Twitter. And all she does is post anti-black stuff all day, for the most part, on all day. And if there is something that she doesn't post as it pertains to that, it's some other off the wall stuff. But a good 95% of the stuff she posts on her page is very, very anti-black.